Good morning and welcome. It looks like I've got somebody here with me already, so that's kind of cool. Um, Logging on a minute or two early. So, hi, good morning. Happy to see you. I did pregame this weekend just because I have kiddo this week, and I know that that means variable energy levels and, the various life dramas that come with that. So, yeah, but also I am at my desk again. I am filming from my laptop today because Substack is actually letting me do that. And while that is not as fun for you guys because you don't get to look at the fun herb cabinet in the background, that will be coming back. It's just going to take me a while as I'm recovering. But I am recovered enough to sit at my desk, and Substack is finally programming for laptops and things besides the cult of Apple. And I am so happy to see that. So, seeing a few people I haven't seen here. So, thank you for joining me. Just a quick thing for folks that are newer to my tarot lives. First is the way I read is I read for the community. So, these aren't like individual draws for people. It's not a performance like that. This is, and frequently the conversation does veer towards activism, towards self care. The tarot decks I'm using have their own spirits, and one of them is violently feminist and anti-patriarchal. That's Helga. My downstairs deck just keeps telling me it's James Bond, although technically it is the same deck. I use Tarot of the Spirit for these. And I do encourage people, if they have their own insights and thoughts and commentary, I very much encourage that in the chat. This is supposed to be community, so as much of a two-way conversation as we can have, we do. While I try not to be directly political, sometimes it's unavoidable, especially in what I'm calling 2026 our year of what the fuck. So, which I mean, it's really been our decade, and it's been going that way for a while now. So that's what I have on that. I'm also very happy that I have caffeine this morning. I am so happy, and yes, I apparently I'm on bad witch mode. Other days I'm on good witch mode, and sometimes I don't know what mode I'm going to be on myself. So it looks like we've got folks settling in. Is there any stuff that people want to ask about before I reveal the card of the week? And also what I do is I am here at 9:35. At 10 a.m. I do a 3-card reading for my Patreon members. Joining the Patreon is free, and there is free access to the 3-card readings. Yes, there are other levels where you can get monthly readings with me, and I am slowly building out an education outfit for the unique way I approach witchcraft, which I don't have a tagline quite like happy snacking, don't die, like Alexis Nicole does, but eventually I'll get there. Hi, meet the animistic spirits, remind them you're squishy. It's in your best interest to do so. So, good morning. I'm not sure what other caffeination or non other people have. I'm just so happy to have mine. All right. So, since y'all are quiet this morning, I am going to start with, so the card that I pulled this week was Eight of Earth, the Mountain. Now, in the Coleman Smith Kaffir Lime Tea, oh, that sounds delightful. Okay, so the card is, and something I noticed about the card, yes, this specific card yesterday, is even though it's Eight of Pentacles, I am only seeing 7 pentacles on this card. And I'm like, okay, does that mean there's a hidden pentacle? Is this like the pentacle of esoteric? So, since pentacles are usually about material and practical things, now I've been reading Lenormand a lot, and I am also living with someone from the Appalachian Mountains. So, my view on mountains has changed over time. And also, when you look at the Coleman Smith Rider Waite card, it is usually a guy that is digging a garden. It is very personalized. It is very individualized. It is all about hard work and overcoming tough obstacles, but there is a big difference between wishing you had a rototiller. Please don't till. It's really bad for the land. Um, and wishing, and climbing a mountain. The other side is in Lenormand, the mountain usually means you've got a big obstacle, you've got an enemy. Hi, you've got a big problem is usually what that means. That is not necessarily what it means in tarot. Often the alignments are very different, but sometimes they sort of intersect. So that's been my influence looking at this. And so I am looking at this one going, okay, there is big work to be done, and we need to be digging into the raw materials. So we are in a time where we are seeing things collapsing. We are seeing things go that didn't work that well in the first place, really not work. And I'm kind of feeling like my adventure getting my shower fixed this weekend is a metaphor for that, because I'm sure it worked fine when it was installed, but things have rusted out. My house is like 150 years old or getting towards 150, and I am pretty sure there's plumbing that has been there since at least 1920. So things have been ready to go. And things fell apart at a inconvenient time for me, and it was one of those where you had to wait for them to fall apart to do anything about it. So there was quite an adventure and some actual magic used in finding someone to repair my shower, and I found someone willing to come over on a Sunday to do it for a surprisingly reasonable price. Witchcraft for the win. Sometimes you use it to attract a lover. Sometimes you use it to attract a plumber. Um, in this situation, we don't need to wait for things to fall apart. We can see them falling apart. So we need to start thinking about what we want in that place. What raw materials do we have access to now? So if you're going to be thinking extremely literally, one of the raw materials that we have access to now is literally garbage. And we have had articles for decades about the way landfills are filled up with things that could easily be recycled or reusable. And I'm not perfect with my recycling. Glass jars go in there sometimes. It's just sometimes you just have to for the sake of your own living space. And, the battery acid, other things that aren't so good, but some of that is actually mineable material. So, for example, if somebody wanted to come up with an industry based on our byproducts and ways to mostly safely reapply them and reuse them, that would be something that, technically it would be a green job, although it would be a hazardous green job. And it would be something that would get things back into our economy that without having to mine them out of existence. So, and that is just one of several approaches where people need to be starting to think about, okay, what have we got and how can we work with it? Now, in even though it's a card where there's like literally blood, sweat, and tears, and mountains can be extremely bloody things. A lot of people end up dying on mountains because they are not prepared to deal with them. So, but this is to me a surprisingly optimistic card. And since I did pregame the 3-card reading to you, I am coming from this week is astonishingly optimistic, and I am far from an optimist, so I was a little bit shocked by that. But it's looking at all of these things and going, okay, so what can we do with them? And it's no ideas are bad. Some ideas are just not executable. And this is one of the ones where we are trying to get through the bad ideas to get the executable ones and see what we can do. And it doesn't have to be as large scale as what I just suggested. It can be looking around your neighborhood going, okay, so like what's a recurring problem here that's totally solvable? And you may have to set it again because things are collapsing. You may have to set aside certain assumptions. You may have to set aside certain expectations. So, for example, City of Kalamazoo encourages people to clean out storm drains as a volunteer thing. And there are a lot of people who strenuously object to that, going, why should I do that? My tax money should cover that, blah, 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 blah. Of course, there are also the same people that vote no on millages and that we don't have the tax money for everything. And then we have storm drains to clean, which takes no, it just takes the willingness to do it, some rubber gloves and a garbage bag. So, okay, some people are willing, some people aren't. But getting around that thinking of it's not my job or it should be somebody else's problem, there's a lot of things that should be. There's a lot of things in life on principle or based on the values we set up that should happen that don't necessarily. And sometimes we have to just set aside that grumble, 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 because that's our inner teenager that we all have that doesn't want to do anything except what we want to do, and look at it and go, okay, how does this benefit everyone and how does this benefit me? Because a lot of community work comes down to you do it because it benefits you. It just also happens to benefit your neighbors. It happens to benefit your community. And everything that we need to do right now is about creating communities that are so strong that additional levels of government can't really penetrate that. And that is kind of the point of everything I've been talking about since I started doing these tarot polls. So that's what I have. If people have insight about mountains, about Eight of Pentacles, about anything that popped into their head from this. I frequently tease my friend Cynthia because she has a Star Trek and occasional Doctor Who reference for almost everything, and I think that's wonderful. So I will give you a moment, probably because I really want my coffee. So you can watch me sip coffee, but if you want to share your insights, it is quite welcome. All right. And so, okay. So I apologize if I mispronounced this because it looks like the name is German or Dutch. So is it Ia? Because I'm seeing Ima Himmelbjerg. Um, so at some point, if you can help us out with that, is it Ia or E? Mountains for me is love and support. I get that it can be hard work going on one, and for me, they are family. I love that. And yes, Danish. Okay, so I was close. Um, so one of the mountain associations I have is in my personal practice, because my public practice, laws of hospitality, just be a decent human, Bill and Ted Wild Stallions forever. My private practice, a goddess that I do have a practice for, is White Tara. She's considered one of the female, like not female Buddha. I don't think that's quite the right term for her. I'm still studying and coming to understand the 21 Taras, but she is always associated with a mountain. And when I meditate on her, I always see her up in a mountain cave, just dressed in perfect white. I do not know how anybody stays that clean in a mountain. My understanding is you get a little messed up getting up there, and then you get a little messed up staying up there, but I don't know. But she's always very clean in this very dirt-filled mountain, because that's the nature of it. And always, it is a place of comfort, but it is to get to this level of peace, you got to get there. And getting to peace is not peaceful or easy. I got nothing today, but we can sip coffee in unison. Cheers. I am all for that. So that's what I've got for you this morning. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to go finish my coffee because I need to. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to go hop over to my Patreon. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the comment links. So if you want to sign up for the free membership, at some point I probably will do the upgrade bugging thing, but I just can't quite bring myself to do it yet. Um, Also, since we do have a little extra time, if when I do have extra time on these, if people want to do an Ask Me Anything or ask about a weird paranormal thing or a spell thing, I am very, very good at getting people's spells to work effectively. I am the author of Hex Twisting and Urban Magic. I can answer some pretty convoluted stuff and help with creative solutions. So if people want to start using it for that rather than specific reading time, you are welcome to. Also, I do consultations and curse screenings. Um, so for people that think they might be cursed and have gone through a pattern of things where they think they might, I never approach you or say I see bad energy on you, because why would I do that? That's insane. But if people think they might, I'm not going to automatically agree, oh, you're cursed, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to say, okay, let's take a look at what's happening. Let's take a look at what the patterns are. The majority of the time, the people that come to me are not cursed. There have been a few, and usually they've known exactly where I came from. But usually it is either an ancestral misunderstanding, or often it is a situation with an animistic spirit where there's just a huge miscommunication. And with those, it can be easier or harder to resolve, but it can be tricky to resolve. I try to give people the tools to resolve it themselves, and if they can't, then I am available. Is it possible to make a spell to rid my house of unwanted animals? So like pests or a bug infestation? There are a few spirits that specialize in that. I will say, and I know this and some folks that are regular here will know about this saga. Part of the reason I am enjoying sitting in my computer space in, rats, that's a difficult one. Okay. Rats can be gotten rid of. Wasps can be harder. So part of the reason that I'm sitting in the space and enjoying it is last year my space got infested by wasps. We have a truce right now, but who knows what's going to happen in fall with a whole new batch of wasps. So there are specific angels that specialize in pest removal. And I have worked with them and it was for a mice problem. The tricky parts with any kind of pest removal is, in Wicca and a lot of American witchcraft, they will say, oh, banish this, make it go away. But then there isn't a conversation about what away actually means. When we practice magic, we are still within a system that is impacted by the laws of thermodynamics. And to boil that down, there is no such thing as away. So if you want the rats to go away, they need somewhere else to go. Now, how you choose to use that, making them go somewhere else to go, is up to you. Often, because I try, not always, but I try to operate on the kinder side of things. I will tell the angel that I have asked to remove something to take it to a healthy place for that animal to be. Um, Other times I may say, take it where they will have a good time and whoever is dealing with them deserves it. It can depend on the day. Let me see if I can look those up for you really quick. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us. We were actually just wrapping up, and sipping coffee in unison is kind of what we're doing. The card for today is the Eight of Pentacles from from Tarot of the Spirit, and it is the Rider-Waite Coleman Smith one is basically a guy digging in a garden. I imagine you would like that card, given how much gardening you do. Um, but we were looking at it as it is surprisingly a card of optimism, but it's one of those where I'm going to have to work really hard and really reframe things to get there. So it's also really quick looking up an angel that does pest control for Ia. So good morning, Rachel. Hi. So thank you for joining us. We were actually just wrapping up, but I am pausing to look up the name of an angel for someone here that does pest removal. So let me find that really quick. And this is coming from, there is an organization called Gallery of Magic that creates these books for working with angels, demons, jinn, and different forms that is basically highly concentrated sigil magic. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. For me, it has been extremely valuable portable magic, especially since my living situation has been so weird, to be blunt, since 2020, when I moved out of San Francisco entirely without planning and by accident. Okay. So I'm posting this in here. So there's an angel named Kahoel who does pest removal. The only thing Kahoel has not been able to take care of for me when I have done this, because I have an old house, so I do this a lot, are sugar ants and wasps. Because sugar ants and wasps do not give an F. And apparently wasps are wildly resistant to any kind of magic. So now I know. And they are their own kind of magic, and understanding them is important. So for the folks that are coming in, just a quick reprise. I pulled Eight of Earth, the Mountain from Tarot of the Spirit. And so in the Rider-Waite Coleman Smith, you see a guy digging in a field and he's kind of sweating, and it's hard work. It's the hard work to get there. And because I read these from what does the community to know? What's the advice of the community? It's the things are falling apart, but that means that things are giving us raw material. So we need to look around at what are the byproducts of collapse that we can use? What can we reintegrate into commerce? Not capitalism, but commerce. And the only major difference between capitalism and commerce is commerce has a concept of enough, and the responsibility is to the employees and to the customers. There is not a responsibility to shareholders like we should have been doing in the first damn place. So with these things that are not working, looking for the things that are working and letting go of on principle, somebody else should be doing this. We need to let go of that. And I have a love-hate relationship with the quote, if not you, then who, especially as a volunteer organizer, where one of the things I'm extremely good at is the Tom Sawyer of definitely not me. Who wants to do this? Because that's the key is to find the person who wants to. Jennifer, give wasps a fig tree. And if I weren't in Michigan, I might try that. Also, it depends on the wasps because paper wasps have they're just different. And they're necessary for the environment, so I'm certainly not going to poison them or throw them out. But right now we're at a detente. The only issue I've had is an unusually large bumblebee that got stuck between two screens, and I'm just looking at it going, sorry, I can't help you. I sealed off every way you can crawl in. Which means that this summer, as I am harvesting chive, garlic chives, and other things that grow wild on my property, I am going to get scolded by bumblebees because I do every year. So all right. So, yeah, I hope that helps. I would suggest doing a deep dive. Do not rely on the internet alone for information on that angel. Um, I would, if you use archive.org and the text, it's a little bit difficult to use it, but if you use the text only setting and the books only setting, you should be able to find some references to it if you want to do a deep dive. Typically a prayer to that angel that you repeat over several days will usually get it going. And I also just want to add, quite simply because of my business partner who I I am allergic to demonic magic. I am allergic to a lot of left-hand path stuff, but I don't have a problem with it because I understand it. I understand it as a whole. I understand it is not what it has been painted to be most of the time. Although certain people that participate in it really, really want it to be that. And so it's more the practitioners themselves that may not always be so ethical that are the issue. And my business partner is allergic to angelic magic. So sometimes when we're working for each other, we have to go, oh, we can't use our usual go-tos. We have to get creative and figure things out, which has made us both very strong folk magic practitioners because that's that right middle earth plane stuff where we can do for each other without messing each other up. Um, so if you find that you try to interact with angels and it doesn't work for you, that's okay. That is normal. It is actually a fairly common thing for some people. So do not freak out about it. Don't assume you're going to light on fire when you walk into a church. Please don't let yourself on fire when you walk into a church. Arson only gives temporary relief. Thank you. But it does mean that you're built a little different and you need to adapt. Just like we have neurodivergence, just like we have chronic illnesses and other things. It is just part of how some people are built. So getting out of the I'm evil or I'm good and going I'm accountable is probably the best bet for just staying on an even keel for all of this. Um, so yeah, so having more coffee and good morning. And so if anyone has any insight or thoughts about this card, and yes, the recording will be up. I did pregame, including pregaming some of the writing. So, and again, my insights coming out of my mouth are different from the writing because it's a different part of my brain receiving. Um, So just let me know. And yes, I am going to let people know that I am open to questions about magic and other things during these lives after we've done the community tarot part, because this is community time. And I do see this as like showing up Monday morning to a coffee table and seeing who's able to hang out and who's able to show up and who's just there to check in for a minute before they go about their day. So that's what I've got. Thank you so much for taking the time with me. I really appreciate it. It means the world that people want to get up and see my face and hear me babble. And again, if people need to book me, the booking links are in the chat at the top. And if there are other things you want to ask about, also the Substack does have a subscriber chat that, as long as Substack doesn't change my settings, is open to everyone that is a subscriber. And if you want to hop over to the Patreon Live, the 3-card lives are supposed to be open to everyone. It depends what Patreon does some days. But you are quite welcome there too. Joining the Patreon is free. Yes, there are membership levels, and yes, it does make a big difference in my family life. That is very appreciated for those that are able. But again, this is my way. The Patreon is my way of giving is my mutual aid with the communities. The community supports me, and I support these community members in the spiritual things they've got going on that they don't otherwise have help for. So thank you. Glad I was able to check in for the WASP info. Yes, I am learning a lot about WASPs this year. It's been, I should probably post some of my latest ancestor work because it involved a WASP swarm. So that was a trip. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good morning. I will see some of you over on the Patreon because, wow, I actually went all the way up to 10 now. All right. Good morning. Stay magical, beautiful people.